What's up, UBC fans? This is D-Pad Gamer. I am one of the analysts for the UBC Season 3, and today I have with me, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey guys, it's Alex, aka the Chow Pow here, coach of the Honolulu Hawluchas.
Alright, thank you for joining me today. We're trying to get all of the coaches done before the season actually starts and we get the draft going, but thank you for taking the time today.
Yeah, no problem. I'm happy to be here.
Alright, so why don't you start off by telling us a little about yourself and your channel.
Okay, so basically I've been doing YouTube for about 2 years now, and I used to do Minecraft on a channel, and I had around 200 to 300 subscribers, and then I left that channel because I was like, do you know the mod Pixelmon?
Yes.
I was like a big like PvPer, like a fighting type person. Like I changed my entire genre of the channel, so I was getting like 10 views a video, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna leave that. So I decided to leave and start a new channel. It was still Minecraft, and I had it for about a year, and it was going absolutely phenomenal. Like I was collaborating with people with like 200,000 subscribers at times, and I was gaining subs crazy. And then my Twitter and YouTube decided to get hacked. I'm like, okay, I'm done. So I quit for about 5 months, and then these people are DMing me. They're like, yo, come back. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to do Minecraft. So I came back and I decided to do Pokemon, and it's been kind of slow to start, but I'm definitely starting to gain a lot more on Twitter and on YouTube. A lot more people are kind of starting to recognize me, which is nice, and I'm kind of going in the path of an A drive. I was thinking of going like a Blunder Poke Aim kind of style of a channel where it's showdown, but I'm like, no, I like doing LPs and I like really just doing draft format. So I decided just to kind of go an A drive route of YouTube.
Totally understand.
Yeah.
All right. So first question, what do you prefer? Do you prefer Wi-Fi battles or showdown battles?
I've actually never done a Wi-Fi battle, so I can't really say too much. I'm gonna be getting a 3DS soon once I get my job started, but definitely showdown right now because that's all I can say. But I'd be really excited to do Wi-Fi, and then ask me that question once I get my DS in probably a month.
All right, sounds good. So, from my experience, I find that showdown is definitely better for training your team up, getting used to it, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
But the Wi-Fi battle is really where it's at.
Yeah, because the graphics and stuff, and I feel like it's a lot harder just by looking at it. Wi-Fi battles are a lot different from Showdown just because you can't see the opponent's team, you can't see the percentage, you have to keep a track of that stuff. So I feel like that's definitely funner.
You also don't have the image of the rocks, so you can forget about that. And then
Yeah,
I think that Showdown has a little higher hack ratio, but
I think so too, yeah.
Showdown definitely. I mean, I use Showdown more than I use Wi-Fi battlers, and I'm a Wi-Fi battler, so
Yeah.
that kind of tells you what the power of Showdown.
Yeah, definitely.
So, talking about the draft style play. What is your past experience?
So like how much like what I usually do in draft format?
Well, how much experience do you have in
Oh,
drafts? And
I've done draft format for like 2 years. Even when I would do like off-season non-YouTuber little like groups on Showdown, be like, hey, join this. I'm like, okay. And I just do it. So over the last 2 years, I've really used like every Pokemon, and I've been in a lot of leagues.
All right, so that's good. We've got some people in this league that don't have much, and you've got people like you that have been doing it for a long time. So that's awesome. So tell us, what is your greatest strength that you'll bring to the UBC this year or this season?
Definitely, I'd say just the way I build my teams. I'm not one to make crazy sets, but I'm one definitely to try different things out and really try to use momentum on my side. So you're really gonna see me in the battles, if you watch them, of course. Really try and base the team off momentum, and I really use certain mons for certain things, and once that mon does something, the entire team just wins basically. I don't know, it's really hard to explain, but I use certain mons to do one thing, and then I know once that one thing happens that I can just win with other things. Like I completely plan out every step of the way in every certain scenario so that I'm completely prepared for anything.
So from what I'm hearing, it's basically that you have the eye for a long game. You're not playing move to move.
No, I'm definitely looking mover two ahead. I'm definitely thinking, I've had scenarios where I've had to heal wish something and I've had to actually think 20 turns into the battle what's gonna happen and if I'm gonna be able to win and who do I healing wish into. Like it's definitely I don't play, oh, he brings in this, now I have to switch out. I usually think, okay, he's gonna think I'm gonna switch out and switch into that, so I'm gonna switch into that and gain like complete momentum. So I
Excellent.
definitely overthink things sometimes.
Yeah, that's kind of the strength and weakness of plans is if your player isn't as experienced, they'll tend to not play into what you want them to do.
No, they'll just kind of do it, or they'll just kind of sit on the field and keep attacking.
Yep. All right, so then that leads into the next question, which would then be, what is your biggest weakness in League?
Oh, biggest weakness definitely over predicting or going onto full tilt. If I miss a move that kill and it ends up making me lose a Pokemon, I'll go into full tilt usually. But I'm definitely working on that. I don't think it's happened as much, but definitely, uh, when I lose momentum in the game, I find it really hard to gain it back. Like if this guy's like made two or three predictions on me and he's got me in a certain scenario, I find it hard to battle back and I usually just kind of give up at the time and I'm really trying to work on that.
So you Tom it.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so that covers that pretty well. So let's talk about your plans for the draft. So what are you aiming for when you go into the draft?
I'm definitely aiming for more of an offensive team. That's kind of my style. I don't usually tend to go a slow-paced or a very, very bulky, passive team with a lot more stall and a really long waited out game where it's more or less like toxic this and then have to stay in and roost it off and like for like a certain like 10 turns. I'm more or less kind of a guy that likes to start off with offense and then get two main walls that I'd bring week to week, and then gain another two walls that I could switch in and out in certain scenarios. So I'd have about 7 offensive mons, but I usually tend for a very versatile draft. So any mon can do anything basically. I can run a wall bulky 1 week, or I can run it like specially defensive. Like I can do really anything with the mons. That's what I usually tend to go for.
Gotcha. So we're not going to see sub protect toxic stalling T-Tran.
No, you're not gonna see that every week. No.
Well, that's good. That makes the matches definitely more interesting to
Oh
watch.
yeah.
All right. So the next set of questions, I actually expanded them a little bit here, but so we're going to talk about the most over and underrated Pokemon, but I'm actually breaking it into two. So we're going to do the first one, which is the most overrated standard Pokemon and most overrated Mega Pokemon.
Okay. So the most overrated standard Pokemon. So we're talking about like tier 1, tier 2, like anything.
Yeah, we're talking anything, but not Mega. So
Okay.
non-Mega Pokemon.
Definitely in my eyes, it'd have to be Mew. Most overrated in my opinion. I'm gonna get a lot of hate for that probably, but I feel like a bunch of people can agree with me. It's just, I feel like it's overrated a lot. Like it's still good, but it's not what people hype it up to be, because if it's what it's people say it's going to be, it would be going top 5 every draft, and the last 5 draft formats I've been in, Mew hasn't even been picked. And I feel like a lot of it is just to do with the psychic type and how garbage it is. Like psychic type is not a very good ability when it comes to weaknesses. Dark, Ghost, Bug, like it just gets completely destroyed, and I don't know, I just don't think it's that great. I feel like Jirachi and Victini can do a lot more than Mew can offensively, but I'm still saying, if I got a Mew, I wouldn't be mad, but I definitely think it's very overrated.
Yeah, I can definitely see what you're saying there. I think what a lot of times what happens is, ever since the beginning of like the GBA, it's been a tier 1. I think if Mew was to drop down to tier 2, it would definitely become a lot more viable. But I think
Definitely.
it's so expensive for what it is. Okay, so let's talk about the most overrated mega, in your opinion.
Oh, geez, that's hard. Um, they're all honestly great. I'm not gonna lie. But if I had to say one, I'd probably say Mega Sableye. And that's really hard to say because all of the mons are really good. I've used like a lot of these, but Mega Sableye is just probably the hardest one to use. I think that you can probably agree with that. Like, if you'd like Mega Slowbro is probably hard, but no one really uses it. Um, but definitely Mega Sableye. I just feel like it's hard to, use it without the prankster. But I do think it's still really good. I just don't think it's the best Mega out of like the tier one, tier two, and tier three. I don't think it's. I definitely think that there's better Megas than that.
Yeah, I can see that. I think the biggest strength that it has is there's no HP fairy. So if we go into, um, the Sun and Moon, and then all of a sudden we have Hidden Power Fairy, I think Sableye is going to be in a lot of hurt.
Yeah, definitely. But it's definitely bulky enough where I feel like it'd just take around 35% from one, and it'd be able to recover it off. But oh, geez, voice crack. But if I look at like the most used, Mega Alakazam, Zardax, Lock, all really amazing. Like I have nothing bad to say about them. They're all incredible, but definitely Mega Sableye is probably the hardest to use, and I feel like people stray away from that just because of how hard it is, and people are like, oh my god, it's amazing. But then you try and use it, and you're like, holy, this is a complete bust. And I feel like it's just because it's only good in the certain right hands of a trainer.
Sure, absolutely. So that's one of the beautiful things about opinions, is that we all get to. I agree. I personally agree with you. I don't find Sableye that enjoyable, but I run closer to hyper offense than I do to stall. So it's
yeah,
our
definitely.
opinion pretty much. So
yeah, like A Drive uses it beautifully, but it's he runs a very, very defensive type of team.
Yes, yeah. So
kind of the opposite of what we run, where it's like he runs 2 offensive and 4 walls, while we run 2 defensive and 4 offensive. Like,
yeah,
I think
much.
I think it's yeah.
Well, that's why we like to do these interviews. We get to hear so many different opinions. Most of the time, I hear stuff like Mega Altaria or Mega Gardevoir or that kind of thing.
Oh, Gardevoir is amazing.
Yeah, or Mew. It's like you said. I mean, almost every time it's one of those. So yeah. I enjoy hearing different opinions. It definitely makes getting to know the coaches a lot more interesting. So all right, well let's go to the next set of questions, which would then be what are the most underrated, and we can start with standard and then go into mega.
Most underrated? Oh, I'd have to say, oh, that's hard, because I'm really just kind of looking in tier 1 right now. But I'd probably have to say Keldeo. And the reason for that is it's actually a very, very powerful mon. And it doesn't really get drafted too much. And I think people just don't, because it's a very offensive water type. While usually in league format, you only go for a bulky water type. Like the only real offensive Pokemon you see for a water type is Manaphy. And I'm pretty sure that's correct.
Or
looking through
for
it.
Alligator.
Oh yes, or for Alligator. But I feel like Keldeo is really underrated. Sacred Sword's amazing. Its speed stat is absolutely amazing. Unfortunately, it does get destroyed by the Lodies and stuff. But I think it has Scald, which is amazing. It can Calm Mind, it can SD, like it has access to priority. I think we've seen it used it SD Keldeo. It's really a monster. Like I've gone up against it and it's really hard to prep for. Like I definitely think that Keldeo, if it was used more in league format, it would be an absolute monster to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who saw Envy's match, was it first week, Sword Stance Keldeo, I mean, it decimated, so.
Yeah, close combat.
Yeah, it definitely has a good move pool, so I can
Yeah.
see what you're saying there for sure. So let's hop into the most underrated Mega Pokemon.
Underrated Mega, definitely Mega Zard Y. Um, the reason I say that is because I've used it and that thing is scary. In the sun, I went up against it in just an off-season league, and I had a Tangrowth, and it went for an overheat, and it was -4 in the sun, and it was still doing 80% to a fully Spadef AV Tangrowth. Like, the thing is a monster. It's weak to rocks, but if you pair it with a Lottie, you're golden. They counteract each other perfectly, and it's in the sun. Scalds aren't going to touch it. Solar Beam and Overheat are like the only two things you need, and then you can add D-Pulse in there. Like it's an absolute monster, and I don't see why it's used more. But I do see, the ×4 rock. But other than that, it's honestly the best wall breaking Mega besides Mega Lopunny and Medicham, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's the special side of a Megalop, pretty much.
Yeah, and you can use
or
DD,
more
DD in the sun.
I think actually more
Like-
accurately, it's probably the Mega Gardevoir version for fire. That's pretty much what it is.
Basically.
So, all right, well that covers that pretty well. So looking at the league, I know you haven't had a lot of time to look at everyone and get see how they play, but who are you
Actually, I
most...
have kind of been
Okay,
scouting.
all right, well that's good then. So you can answer this better then. So who are you most nervous or afraid to fight? As far as are you worried about getting swept?
Worrying about getting swept, I'd probably say definitely the two finalists last year, CJ and Adam. Like, I've watched a lot of their battles, just kind of scouting. I like to do that with my opponents. They don't really make aggressive plays, but they do make the safe double switches that can get them momentum, and they do bring out some sets that I haven't seen, but like they're not outrageous like some like goofy weird set, but they're sets that are still really viable and could be used week to week. So I'm not really scared of anyone, which might sound cocky, but if I had to say two people that I'm going to be kind of scared to go up against, it'd be them.
Yeah, I definitely see what you mean. CJ's, I haven't played CJ very much, but in the PMC, I've been working with Adam, helping, doing team builds and playing in Showdown, kind of get him used to the teams. And I mean, even when I know exactly what he's bringing, he can, and I can plan exactly for it. You know what I mean? He's still a monster, so I can definitely see what you mean. All right.
It's just going to come down to prep, really.
Exactly. So the next question kind of leads in, which is, who are you the most excited to battle?
Oh, definitely Levine. Levina Lemay, something like that. I can never pronounce his name. I've known him for a year and a half, and we've done a lot of leagues together. And this was back when I was a complete noob, so I can't even go off that. But I think I'm up 4-1 in the series against him. I'm not completely sure, but it's always really fun battling him because we like to use the same mons, and we were talking before about what we might draft, and he was like, and we both had like the exact same mons down. Like, we have a very similar mindset, so the battle is going to be definitely fun, and I hope that all the analysts put their picks that week on me or him. I think that'd be a very fun rivalry.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys have a good history, and that's always, I think, the most excited, anticipated matches are the ones that...
it's when you're with your friends, definitely.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. So the last question of the interview is, who do you think is going to be the UBC champ this season?
Definitely me.
All right, you heard it here first, guys.
I have to say that. I can't not say.
Oh man.
Not me. That'd be pretty self-deplemishing. Can't speak English this morning.
Deprecating?
Deprecating, why not?
All right. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to do this interview. It helps everyone get to know you a little bit better, and then we'll definitely be interested in following your channel. So